am Hannah Wallace and you're watching Finextra TV at Sibos. Welcome to this three-part thought leadership series, finding new ways to operate and transform financial services with machine learning. To talk to us about the business impact of cloud technology and machine learning is Martin Koopman, President Investor Communication Solutions at Broadridge Financial Services. So hello Martin, welcome to our virtual studio.
Hello, Hannah. Thanks for having me here at Sibos.
No problem at all. So before we get started, I'd like to set the scene for us a bit and talk about Broadridge's background and who are the customers you serve. Let's start there.
Sure, Hannah. Broadridge is a S&P 500 company that is a leading provider of investor communications and technology-driven solutions. We serve banks and brokers, asset managers, wealth managers, and corporate issuers. And a core business we have, Hannah, is voting around annual general meetings of public companies, or what is often called proxy voting. Now, there's a lot of focus here in the US at the moment about the upcoming federal election in November. And 4 years ago, in 2016, 138 million US citizens voted in the US general election. And what most people don't know, Hannah, is proxy voting or voting around annual general meetings is in many respects much bigger than this, and it happens every single year. In the last year, we sent out over 400 million ballots for voting to US shareholders for annual general meetings. And over 5,000 public companies held a meeting. And we also tabulated all those votes as they came back in. And globally, it's even much larger, about 10x, with over 50,000 companies that hold an annual general meeting each year. And it's a pretty hot area at the moment, as there's increasing interest in the governance power around these meetings, with much focus on ballots such as board diversity and ESG proposals. So it's an interesting area.
All right, and I understand you're leveraging machine learning to help with document processing workflow around corporate actions. So I'd love to hear a bit more about this workflow and why it's so important to enterprises today. Tell us about that, please.
Yeah, sure. Well, we capture today all the data points around these elections. We actually have over 5 million proxy data points going back over 10 years across 330,000 plus meetings that have been held. And these data points, which we call proxy policies insights, they include information such as the names and tenure of board directors, executive compensation information, and ESG proposals, to name a few. Now, this information is used by asset managers to help inform them on how they wish to vote. It's also used by broker-dealers, and we provide it free to regulators, nonprofits, and educational institutions for research purposes. Now, what we're doing with machine learning, Hannah, is that the current process is a manual process where we source these data points using over 160 associates in India, and overall it takes over 50,000 hours of time. There's also significant seasonality with major spikes during the year. Now, we started our machine learning journey a few years ago with a project to classify corporate action documents, and we used a support vector machine algorithm for that. And with that project, we're realizing today a 90% saving in manual effort compared to how we used to do it using machine learning. With this project, we're expecting about a 40% saving in manual effort compared to what we're doing today.
All right, some impressive stats there as well. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you're incorporating machine learning into the workflow, but also I've got to ask, what are some of the challenges and problems you're solving along the way?
Sure. Well, there's really two stages to this project, Hannah. The first stage is we're using machine learning to automate the extraction of the data points from the documents. And the benefits here are being able to pull these data points much faster, to find efficiencies versus manual processes, and to be able to pull a much larger number of the data points globally. And to do this, we're using a number of AWS services. We're using Comprehend, we're using Textract, and that the ML ops piece of this is it's all sitting on SageMaker, and it's running completely serverless using Lambda functions, step functions, and DynamoDB. But that's the first stage of the project. The second stage of the project is to create a new product that will allow us to predict upcoming contentious meetings or meetings that are likely to have tight votes. And the benefits of being able to do those predictions is that we can help asset managers focus on the ballots or the proposals that their vote is really most likely to have a real impact on. We can help broker-dealers take action such as recalling their shares around those meetings. And we can also help corporate issuers, public companies, understand what proposals on the ballot are likely to be contentious.
Well, taking all of that into account, then I'd love to hear about some of the lessons you learned along your journey, and also maybe what you might have done differently.
Yeah, sure. There's two lessons that come to mind. The first is to identify lower hanging fruit projects. As I mentioned before, we started our journey on machine learning with a very successful project to classify corporate action documents, and we got over a 90% saving on manual effort. What I've found, or what my team has found, is that there's a bit of a ladder of complexity of machine learning projects. And when you're starting, it helped us to start at the bottom of the ladder, build our capabilities, and get our confidence going. Generally, I've found that classifying documents is easier than extracting data from documents, which is easier than finding meaning from those documents. And the second lesson that I've learned is to begin the ML ops part of this early in the process and in parallel with the model or algorithm development. The model and algorithm development is the part that gets a lot of focus. It's very intellectual. There's a lot of research going into that area. It's very, very interesting. But at the end of the day, this is a technology product or project like others. And building the pipeline of services to put something into production is just as important. And that takes real time. So we've learned to start that early in the process.
Sure. Well, some of the key questions we keep hearing from financial institutions around machine learning: how do you deliver value quickly, and how long does the process take? So how would you respond to those?
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. Two thoughts come to mind. The first learning that we've had is to leverage pre-built models or managed services. And AWS and other providers have so many of these services that are available, pretty much out of the box today. These are services like Comprehend, Textract, Recognition, Poly, to name a few. And we've found great benefits to using those services versus, rolling our own algorithm, if you may. We were tempted at the start. We looked at our problem and thought it was so bespoke, so custom, that we'd need our own algorithm, and we started on that course. But what we found, in order to get something into production much faster, is greater benefit from using these pre-built managed services available from the providers out there today. Not only has it allowed us to get something into production faster, but it's also future-proofed our investment, as AWS and other providers are going to be making so many more investments in these models going forward. You're future-proofed, and that's far more than we could do with our own model developed internally. I just finished with the other learning on how to deliver value quickly, Hannah, is bringing along product people and business people on this journey, as well as the technology people. We've invested with AWS in training our business, and in particular our product people, our product managers, in what these technologies can do. And I really believe that if the product managers are able to put the time into understanding the functionality that's available here, it leads to new functionality they can put into products, new products that they can develop, and brand new markets they can enter. It's one of the reasons why I've put so much time into this area. I truly believe that these technologies are transformative and can really have a positive impact on product development.
Well, Martin, thank you so much for concluding there and adding your piece to the puzzle. It's been really insightful, but we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on, Hannah.